Thank you for joining us for our Mid-Valley Division Playoffs preview. I'm Aram Talegian, San Gabriel Valley Newspaper Group football writer, joined on your left by San Gabriel Valley Tribune Prep Sports Editor Fred J. Robledo, and on your right, Pasadena Star News Prep Sports Editor Miguel Melendez. Guys, we're looking at the Mid-Valley Division. I'll let you get to it right now, but before we do that, I'll give you the top 4 seeds in the division. Azusa got the 1, Monrovia was 2, Arroyo was 3, and Covina was 4. Take it away. This is our locals-only division. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, when you look at the way the CIF pairings were toward the end of the season, it pretty much played out that way. Covina was able to go from 5-4 in the final week with that big win over San Dimas. That rewards them with the seed. They're on the same side as Azusa, so you're going to really watch how that plays out. You could have Covina and Azusa in a semifinal, the top bracket. The game of the first round, Aram, Arroyo, the Mission Valley champion, I mean, they cannot be happy with drawing the Mid-Valley defending champion San Dimas as a first round. That's not going to feel like a reward for the number 3 seed when you're getting a team like San Dimas. On the bottom half of that, Monrovia, Miguel with the number 2 seed, I think they're going to like their draw getting Gladstone, the Mountain View at large.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, people knew that Monrovia, regardless of where they finished in the seeding process, they were still favored to make a deep run, if not win the Mid-Valley Division title. But you look at the number 2 seed, I think everything has played out just exactly the way they wanted it. They draw Gladstone in the first round. They could draw Sure in the second round. I think it's a favorable draw for them right off the bat with Gladstone. And I'm looking at some of the other matchups in that bottom bracket with Maranatha hosting La Puente. Maranatha to all of a sudden go from not knowing if they're going to make the playoffs to now finishing second in that Olympic League to hosting a home football game in the playoffs on Friday. It's huge for them.
And I want to ask you about the Olympic League, because we don't see a lot of those teams out here on our side of the valley. You know, and you look at Village Christian at large getting Azusa. You think of some of these matchups right now, Whittier Christian and Bell Gardens. I mean, how good are those teams? And Maranatha team, obviously, you see a lot. Right. How good are they compared to Monrovia and some of the other teams?
Well, you look at, I think the perception with the Olympic League and when you look at Whittier Christian and Village Christian and Cerritos Valley Christian, even that team, who didn't make the playoffs and took Maranatha to 5 overtimes, an epic thriller in that game. You look at these teams and the perception is that they're small schools, that they can't compete, or that they don't have the size to go up against the likes of Monrovia. But that's not the case. I mean, if you look at Village Christian and what they did against they fared well in that league, and Whittier Christian, we already know that.
I've heard they're a monster, Whittier Christian. Well, that could be a second round game for Covina, Aram. That's a tough game.
That's the second round game I'm looking forward most to seeing.
If there's one team we've heard a lot about is Whittier Christian, and the thing that the teams that we don't know too much about is obviously Village Christian and Maranatha. But I look at the way they've played. Maranatha with that stellar quarterback, he's only a sophomore, 6'3" guy who can really sling it. He's passed for over 2,000 yards. I mean, these guys have playmakers, and I think they not only can compete in this division, but they can come away with some wins. And I can easily see Maranatha and Arroyo going at it in that second round matchup.
Well, we saw last year, guys, Whittier Christian made a big run out of the Olympic League. They drew Arroyo in the first round, beat them. They made it all the way to the semis, and were within 2 minutes of beating Monrovia and going to the finals. A lot of people think Maranatha could be this year's Whittier Christian.
Yeah, and no, we're not going to make predictions today. We'll save that for earlier in the week. But when you look at Azusa, Aram, what do you think of their draw, getting a Village Christian, another kind of unknown to the area? You'd kind of mentioned this when you, in a column you wrote earlier in the week. This could happen for the number 1 seed.
Well, I think of the 4 at-larges, Azusa would have rather played La Cañada or Gladstone. Gladstone couldn't happen because they're in the same league. La Cañada went to Covina, so it's tough. I mean, the talk at the draw on Sunday morning was that, Village was going to give Azusa a game, and San Dimas obviously was going to be a tough matchup for Arroyo. So no gimmies for Arroyo and Azusa. So Freddie, I've wanted to see Azusa be tested, and so many people in the Valley want to see them be tested. They're 10-0. They haven't really gotten that, one game where you thought
they've given up 30 points the whole year. I mean, I saw that in the half in a lot of games.
Yeah, we want to see them play, good competition, and the only real good competition you could say they've had this year is Bell Gardens in Week 1, who they destroyed, and La Puente later in league. Now, finally, we're going to see them right off the bat get a good game.
Right, Village Christian on Thursday, I believe it was. They manhandled Cerritos Valley Christian in that game at Glendale. I think people were surprised that Village Christian ran away with that game. You look at what Cerritos Valley Christian did throughout the season. I think people thought that team was going to finish second in the Olympic League, and now they're not even in the playoffs. So to be tested right off the bat, I think is putting it lightly against Village Christian. We'll see a great matchup right there.
That Maranatha against La Puente is also an interesting game, Aaron, because we talk about Azusa being the unknown. La Puente's also sort of an unknown.
Right.
You know, they played Azusa and got smacked, but they've blown out a lot of other teams. I mean, all the rest of the teams in the Montview, just like Azusa did. So that's another team that can get in a roll.
I think the team that got the best draw was Rosemead. They finished second in the Mission Valley League. They draw Temple City. A team who Rosemead beat earlier this year. Granted, it was a close game. And
Azusa being the number one team, they would play the winner of that game. So if Azusa gets by Village Christian, you've really got to like their chances. I'm sure they like seeing Rosemead and Temple City right below them with a chance to get to the semifinals.
Right, but a great draw for Rosemead and even for Temple City. I mean, Temple City was a coin flip team. They got second place, Miguel, and now they got I mean, they know they can beat Rosemead. They had a big lead on them.
I mean, it all came down to luck in that Rio Hondo League. I mean, if you look at what happened and what transpired, Temple City had to win that coin flip in order to get to the playoffs. South Pasadena was the odd team out, meaning head-to-head competition would come down to Temple City and La Cañada, which lost to Temple City earlier in the season, allowing Temple City to finish number 2 in the Rio Hondo League. And you said that Temple City and Rosemead met earlier this year. Temple City had a 21-9 lead after the first quarter, relinquished that lead, and ended up losing 29-28.
Right.
So I think Temple City's coming out, and they've obviously made giant strides since that loss. They started 1-4, and now they're second in the Rio Hondo League in the playoffs. They're trying to show that they've improved.
Kind of last thing when you look at this, Aaron, there are no super world beaters. I think that's what we learned this year in the Mid Valley Division.
Right.
These teams at the top are capable of beating each other. That's what's going to make this division so fun. You know, Azusa, they can win it all. I mean, I think they can. I don't think there's anyone out there that's just so good that they don't have a chance.
And we don't know how good Azusa is.
From watching the top teams in this division, I think Monrovia has the most talent. Mm-hmm. I really love Nick Bueno. That game I saw him against South Hills, I think he's the best player in this division. But I don't think that automatically means they're going to go to the finals and win it all. There are some great games here. There's going to be surprises in this division more than any other.
Well, let's get right to it, guys. Let's pick the can't miss game of round 1 here. Who do you got? What's the one game you would tell fans they can't miss this week?
Well, I think we talked about it for the Tribune area. It's San Dimas at Arroyo. Obviously, San Dimas being the defending Mid Valley champ, falling to third, losing that heartbreaker to Covina. And Arroyo, they're undefeated because the only game they lost, Steven Rivera wasn't their quarterback. He was
that was to Hart.
They probably lose that game anyway to Hart. But the simple fact is they are 9-0 with Steven Rivera at quarterback, and that's a really interesting game because you talk about Azusa, Aaron. I want to know how good Arroyo is.
Yeah.
That Mission Valley League was horrible this year. Now, I hate to be blunt like that, but it was, and they're a lot like the Montview League teams. Let's see. Let's line them up and let's find out.
What's your can't miss
game?
Well,
I like the core matchup between Temple City and Rosemead, but I think I'm more intrigued by the Maranatha La Puente game.
Yeah.
For those guys on the east side, this isn't the last time you'll see Maranatha. Yeah. Maranatha is scheduled to play Azusa next year in week 2, so you'll get to see them again with that super sophomore quarterback. So that's my intrigue matchup is Maranatha La Puente to see if Maranatha, for a long time now, has said that they can compete in the Mid-Valley Division. They're now in the Mid-Valley Division. They're drawing a team from the east side. And I think that they can not only compete, but they're going to probably come out and win.
And real quick, last thing. Baldwin Park at Sure. That's another good game.
That would be my game, Fred.
That's a pretty good game because, the winner of that plays Monrovia.
Right.
How much would you like to see a Baldwin Park-Monrovia matchup? That would be...
Baldwin Park, Sure.
Because that's got a lot of the... Because let's face it, Baldwin Park's got the Doherty transfers. There's a lot, there's a lot there with Doherty and Monrovia and there at Baldwin Park. That's a great second-round game.
Yeah, so there you have it, fans. I mean, it looks like a great layout here, brackets-wise, in the Mid-Valley Division. Lots of good options for you to go see. Like we said, we'll be back early this week with predictions on some of these games. But for now, we're expecting a Rock'em Sock'em Mid-Valley Division. For Miguel and Fred, I'm Aram Talegian. Get out to the games on Friday night.